What's up, guys? Laura Whitmore here with STP. And what do pumpkin spice lattes, Halloween, and the SAT have in common? They're all in October, of course. So in this video, I'm actually going to give you some solid expert SAT prep tips so that you can get ready for the October SAT and get a better score. Now, guys, hear me out. You have to follow this prep plan I give you to a T. You cannot cut any corners, okay? But if you do the suggestions that I've laid out for you, you will see an improvement in your score. Okay, first, before we get into this video, I just wanted to let you know that your mom called me today to let me know that she is super disappointed in you for not hitting the subscribe button and notification bell below. So do her a solid and, get back in her good graces and make sure you do that right now. Also, this video is brought to you by Preply. If you're taking the digital SAT, Preply is a digital SAT app that is available in the App Store and in Google Play. So you can prep from your mobile device or your iPad on the go and access hundreds of questions in both the English and the math that are just like those on college boards, Blue Book exams. So download Preply today and take your prep to the next level. All right, here is my first tip for studying for the October SAT. Tip number 1, you've got to want it. Guys, you've got to come up with a reason to get some intrinsic motivation to want to prep for this test. Because let's face it, prepping for an SAT is not first on your priority list. You have friends you want to hang out with, you have concerts you want to go to, you have trips you want to take on the weekend. I mean, who wants to sit down and actually practice tons of questions over and over all by themselves in their room? No one. But if you can figure out a reason why you want to prep, like maybe you want to beat your brother or your sister's SAT score. Maybe you're trying to get into Harvard. Maybe you are getting recruited to play D1 sports and you need a certain score to get into the program that's recruiting you. Whatever your reason is, hold tight to that and use it to propel you forward so that you can find the motivation to actually sit down and do the stuff I'm going to suggest for you. So that being said, I would love to hear all your reasons out there for why you're prepping for the October SAT. Obviously, you're motivated or you wouldn't be watching this video right now. So what's the deal? Are you trying to get a scholarship? Are you trying to get into a certain program? I would love to hear about your own personal motivations. Comment below and let me know. All right, tip number 2, set a goal. How do you know what you're aiming for if you don't have a number in mind? Studies show that setting a goal really helps people achieve things that they didn't think were possible. So, just like if you're not really sure what you want to score, general rule of thumb, what I've seen as a test prep coach, if you're a student athlete, typically a 1300 plus can get you into almost any program in the nation to play a sport. I've also found that a 1530 or above is considered the same as a perfect score to most admissions offices. They do not get nitpicky once you're up in the 1500s. So those are a couple scores to keep in mind. I hope that helps you. You should also research what programs you're interested in and try to get on the high end. You don't want to be at the median, but you want to be higher than the median so your application can really shine. So get a goal score in mind so you know what to aim for and what you need to achieve. All right, guys, tip number 3, decide what you want to focus on for this test. You can super score, which means taking your best English score and your best math score, even if they're from different tests, and putting them together. So you really need to sit down and assess where you're at in the process, like what grades you're in, what scores you've already had, and make a plan. So if you are, let's say, a senior, but you're applying regular decision, which is, in January, and your math score is way higher than your English score, This round, you should really just focus on the English to get that score up as high as possible so that you can put it with your really strong math score. If you're a junior and you're just starting, you could just pick one half of the test that you think maybe you'd be weaker in first. Or if you took a PSAT 10, you could take a look at your baseline score there and then decide, which one you think you need more work in. So there's really different ways that you can go about it. And that's kind of one thing I do when I work with a new student. We sit down, we analyze their score report together, and I make a game plan for them so that we can work to maximize their score. So you guys should be doing that as well. The SAT is a game. You've got to be strategic about your approach. And sometimes if you prep for the whole test at once, you spread yourself too thin and it's too much. Now, obviously, if you're a senior and you're applying early action or early decision, this may be your last hurrah. So if you need to focus on both halves of the test, then focus on both halves of the test. Do what you've got to do. Also, you might be able to eke out the November test. So if you're applying ED or EA, check with admissions offices for your target schools because some of them will actually hold off and allow you to submit November scores as well, just in the event that something doesn't go right or you're not happy with your October test. Tip number 4, make sure you order the QAS report. Guys, QAS stands for Question and Answer Service. So it's only offered 3 times a year: the March test, the May test, and the October test. Take advantage of this amazing tool and order the QAS report when you register for the October SAT. Essentially what will happen is when they release your score in a couple weeks after you take the test, you will get all of the test questions back so that you can go through it yourself and figure out what you did wrong or go through it with a tutor. And then that way you can be more prepared to take the next test if you're going to take another test. All right, tip number 5, you got to prep from the right materials. So first and foremost, make sure you're using official College Board practice tests. College Board is the company that writes the SAT. They're the ones that design the questions. So it's kind of like having a real Louis Vuitton versus a fake Louis Vuitton. Wouldn't you prefer the real Louis Vuitton? I know I would. So make sure you start with actual official questions. Those are going to be the best to prep from. And then go from there. Now, obviously, if you're taking the digital SAT, there's only so many official questions to go around. So after you're done using the Blue Book exams questions, go through Khan Academy because they are very good questions and they're closely aligned with College Board. And then look at other resources. Now, I have a digital SAT prep course that I've designed for the English sections, and I actually have included extra materials in this course for you. So if you want to work on your digital SAT English score before the October, I would definitely recommend you sign up for that because not only do you get questions from other resources that wouldn't be available to you, but you also get really effective strategies for tackling all these types of questions, even the toughest types like words in context and logically completes the text. So I'm gonna link up here for my course right now and down below. Go check that out. Also, guys, if you're taking the paper test is going to be obsolete in December. It's so crazy. So my paper test course is 75% off now. I would definitely take advantage of that as well. You have materials to prep from for both the English and the math sections and video lessons that are exclusive and not on YouTube to teach you how to take both halves of the test. So sign up for that as well. I'll put the link up here right now for that. Tip number 6, this is how you're going to execute your studying. You want to pick 2 days of the week. One day is going to be your practice day. The other day is going to be your scoring and reflection day. So let me explain. When you sit down to do a practice, make sure you use official tests that were administered over the past couple of years. This only applies if you're taking the paper test. So I will link below so that you can access those official SAT tests. Because College Board's math questions have changed over time and you want to take tests that are as close to your test date as possible, So when you take those tests, I want you to literally sit down and time it as if it's the real thing, okay? Only use a pencil, don't use a highlighter. You could even print bubble sheets, because then that will give you a really accurate idea of where your time is at, and you'll get more practice in with, doing the bubble sheets. So that's your practice day. Now, after you take a practice, you're going to be a little drained. So it really depends on how you want to practice. You could do one section a day, or you could do, just 2 English sections, like half the test in a day. I would say more is better because you want to build your endurance. But then pick another day to go over your practice. So the day that you reflect, you're going to score your practice, but only put an X next to the questions you missed. Do not write the right answer, because then what I want you guys to do is go back to the questions that you missed and try to re-answer them. It's going to be so important for you to do this piece, because you need to figure out why your question was wrong and why College Board thinks another answer is right. Because guys, the name of the game on the SAT is to think like College Board. So I have too many students who come in and they work with me, and we'll go over a practice together. And if they get one wrong, they'll start debating with me about why their answer is right. And it's just I have to stop and just gently remind them, hey, listen, you've got great ideas, you're a smart student, but College Board doesn't care what you think is right, and it doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't count here. It's time to learn how College Board thinks and start to morph yourself and do what they want and what they expect is the right answer. So that's part of playing the game, and that's part of my job as a test prep coach, is to show you guys how to do that. Now, that being said, I have a team of tutors, and we all work to help our students be the best that they can be and teach them how to play this SAT game. So if you're interested in working with me or one of my team, I'll put a link up here, fill out the form, and we can set up a consult, or I can send you more information. Tip number 8, you want to study vocabulary. And this is especially true if you're taking the digital SAT. But it also helps for the paper test, because there are words and context questions on the paper test. Guys, the vocabulary or words and context questions are the bane of students' existence. I have so many students coming to me basically crying about how difficult these are for them, how they don't know what the words mean. There's a lot of fear around these. My students that I've worked with, when they come to me initially, they feel like they have no control over these questions. So you want to take back control, and you want to feel more confident about these types of questions before you go into the test. Because if you have the mentality that, oh my gosh, I can't do these vocabulary questions, guess what's going to happen? You're going to struggle with the vocabulary questions. So here's what I want you to do. Find SAT vocabulary lists, start studying those. Go through old SAT practices and do all the words and context questions. And then what I think is most effective is actually using a linguistics approach. Instead of memorizing thousands and thousands of words and their definitions, memorize parts of words like roots, prefixes, and suffixes that derive from Latin and Greek. And then you can take any word you don't know and break it down into its parts and guess its meaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link below to a blog post that I wrote about breaking words down into their parts, and you'll have access to a full list that you can study to help boost your vocabulary in a short period of time. All right, guys, if you're finding this video helpful so far, please go ahead and make sure to hit the thumbs up button below. And yeah, let's get into the last tip. The last tip I have for you guys is to get a tutor. Listen, sometimes when you're prepping, you might not understand an answer explanation, or you might not understand why your answer is wrong and another answer is right. It's just kind of part of the process, like when we try to coach ourselves, we can only get so far. It's kind of like going into a gym. Like you can go into a gym and work out, but you'll see more results and more progress if you get a really good personal trainer to push you and to teach you new ways to work out. So the same goes with the SAT. So, you know, if you can swing it, I would get a tutor. They can definitely guide you, and make sure your tutor has a score that's well above yours and either at your goal score or above the goal score that you want. Do not hire a tutor that's scoring less than the goal score you want, because they're not going to be able to show you how to get it done. If you can't afford a tutor, that's okay. Grab a buddy, grab someone who scored really well on the SAT already that you know, and just pick their brain. Like, have them walk you through how to do number 10, or have them explain how they got, you know, a perfect score on the reading section. It really, really is okay to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate all of you, and I wish you the best when you are prepping for this October SAT. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, go ahead and comment below October test, and I will see you guys again soon. Happy prepping.